If you're new here, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer, host of the Get Legit Law and Shit podcast and legal commentator. I've been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but I'm not your attorney, not legal advice. I am a big fan of the Cursey words, so headphones are recommended. This is where the law nerds unite to break down the news stories that you want to hear about with facts, not fuckery. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I let everybody know when I shared this out on social, I'm a bit under the weather, which is fun for everyone, because if I'm way more distracted than usual, that's what it is. I also haven't had coffee yet today, but I didn't have time to make coffee, and I keep backup coffees at home. So I have a backup dark caramel nitro cold brew. I haven't tried this flavor yet, so we're going to see how it is. There are some updated court documents and some updated things in in both the Tati Westbrook KJ case and in the Tom and Erica Girardi case. I'm going to talk about both of those, and then oh Jesus, it makes all kinds of noise. I'm going to talk about both of those, and then I'm going to answer all your questions. I am thank you, Michael. It's just, I don't know if it's winter yuck. I am under the weather. Hopefully it's nothing more than winter yuck, but we'll see. I am going to talk about those two things real quick, and then I'm just going to jump in and answer your questions so I can timestamp the stuff that the people just want to hear about it and don't want to hear about all the other stuff. So once I jump into the topics, I will handle those two things and then go on to answering questions. And what else? The Erica and Tom Girardi stuff, I'm not going to get into super deep because that's tomorrow's podcast episode as well. I said we were going to be a two-parter on that one, and there are so many more things happening. And so I'm pulling all those court documents together. There's orders in the divorce case. There was an order in the Lion Air case. There are additional cases. It looks like there is also a couple of pending like debt actions. And thank you, Rachel. You didn't have to super chat. The mods just let me know, and I'm going to go take care of it. Thanks, guys, for coming in here. I had saved it on, and I had done it wrong. Shocked. I've done something wrong. Professionals up in the YouTubes. Thank you, guys. I thought I had changed it. My apologies to everyone who's not members only. It is normally my intent to leave members only on a little bit for the pre-party, just so the mods don't have to worry about it, and then to go ahead and open it up as we get rolling. I thought I had done it. I did it badly. Clearly not. So that's actually really good. That's actually very good. Oh, Trina, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's actually really good. It's a weird holidays. I talked about this a little on Instagram before we jump into the topics. I talked about this a little bit on Instagram yesterday. It just feels weird. It just feels weird this holiday season, not seeing family. And then for us living somewhere different, it's beautiful and we love it. But also being away from family, it's a weird feeling holiday for us. And I don't know. It feels weird. It just feels weird. So for us, we're going to just move through it. I don't know. I am not going to come up here and be like, everything's great, because it's not. This has been a hard holiday. Like Thanksgiving was really fun, but it was also hard. It's weird being away from family and not having the choice, you know? So it's a very strange feeling, but we are hunkering down with just us for this holidays, which is lovely too. Like, I'm very blessed that we get to hunker down, that I work from home, that we were able to move when we moved, that we were able to sell our home and move here when we closed a business, and that we're able to just kind of live day to day and take care of that stuff. We are very lucky to be able to do that. And it just still feels weird. I don't know. It just feels weird this holidays. I'm loving the colder weather. I mean, but it was in the 20s this morning. It's not California weather. It was definitely colder this morning. Taking the kids to school. They're excited for winter break. I think we're finally going to start playing like Among Us as a family, and my kids are going to smash us at um, Fortnite, and I'm going to play Animal Crossing on the Switch, and we're just going to keep it mellow. And you know what? With not feeling good, it's going to be nice to just slow down. And that's the one thing that's been weird and good about COVID is that it's a forced slowdown, and it just gives us time to kind of hunker down and be together. And we're lucky to have that. So I'm okay with more snow than normal because if we don't have to go anywhere, we don't have to go anywhere. Yeah, we're gonna play some Among Us. It's gonna be fun, and it just is. It's just it's gonna be a weird holiday. We're gonna try to make it. We're gonna try to make it festive, the best that we can. It'll be nice. So it's good to see everybody coming in. I will definitely share maybe with the members my Animal Crossing friend code. I don't really know how to do all of that. I need to go for sure watch some more videos and maybe Twitch stream some Animal Crossing with y'all and because it's fun and I enjoy streaming, but not when I'm exhausted. But we will definitely I will definitely consider it. People have asked, are you ever going to stream when you play? I'm like, maybe we just get to talk about it. But paradoxically sweet, this community has helped keep me sane since I can't see my support system in real life. Oh, paradoxically sweet. That's so kind. I get a lot of messages from you guys about that. And this community is really special because we have good conversations, and that's what I really love about it. So I love that we're able to find support here and we're able to have conversations here about all kinds of things, about things that are silly and light and about things that are hard and hard to talk about, and that we absolutely just switch between topics even when we cover the political stuff, you guys. Occasionally people will pop in and it's not as polite. But most of the time, even when we talk about the political stuff, I respect that y'all disagree with each other, and that's totally fine. Because when we're talking about the Supreme Court doing stuff, it's like the Supreme Court did this, the law is this. And that's the conversation around it. And I love that you guys are here for that. It's just so great. Skylar, welcome. Been watching all the legal commentary videos, obsessed with the Without a Crystal Ball drama. Everybody is. I've never seen anything like it. Same. Also here for the Erica case. The Erica case, and we know Erica Girardi and we know Erica Jane because of Real Housewives. It's really her husband. I don't know how much she knew about what was going on, how much she didn't know about what was going on. And that's a great question to just hop into a quick update on that before a deep dive on that tomorrow. With the Erica Jane, Tom Girardi divorce, there has been some stuff going forward in court, and that the initial motions going on there are going to be affected by what just happened in the Lion Air case in Illinois. And the Lion Air case just had a freeze put on Tom Girardi's assets, which is going to affect the divorce case because now we have assets being frozen. It's very, very interesting to see assets being frozen in that case pre-litigation. But I also don't disagree. And because I don't disagree, we're just going to talk about it real quick. There are multiple cases going on right now with Tom Girardi's lawsuits. And that includes Erica Jane and some of them, that includes their divorce. In the Lion Air case, which is the one I talked about last week, it was alleged that there is not money left for the victims of, I say victims, it's the families of the victims of the plane crash because the plane crash had no survivors. The surviving clients of plane crash victims. And the filing essentially went through that there is money missing, that people haven't been paid, and there were two law firms working on it. And this we see in the Tati Westbrook case too, right? We talk about a local law firm and then the fancy LA law firm. So in the Tati Westbrook case, for Tati, we've got Saltsy is the LA attorney, and then there's a local Washington attorney. In the Tom Girardi case there with Lion Air, Tom Girardi was the LA lawyer who deals with toxic torts and mass torts, and torts being an injury of some kind. we deal with him being that attorney. And then there was a local law firm in Illinois that was dealing with local court and all of that. So when we had the Illinois local court, the local attorney said, "Oh my God, I don't think all these clients have been paid. And because I don't think all these clients have been paid, we want to make sure that we know what's happening." And they had been put off by Tom Girardi's firm. He is the only managing member of the firm. So he's the one who knows, and he's the only one that knows what's going on with the money. So the allegations were that clients haven't been paid. We want an accounting. We don't know where the money is. And not just that, but like, we're not even so much worried about us getting paid. The Illinois firm, they needed to get paid too, but we're not even so worried about us getting firmed, but where did the money go? Like, where is the money? Boeing paid you the money. It went into your client trust account. Your client trust account is like a little walled account just for those clients. And what's supposed to happen is that it goes into the client trust account, and then there's a contract that says our legal fees are 30% or 33% of whatever it is, plus expenses, then you get paid. So it takes out like $1 for a copy, and, however much it is per 6 minutes for every email or communication, and that all that lawyerly billable stuff. So that comes out, then the lawyer fees come out, then the money goes to the clients who won the money in the settlement. What's being said in the suit is that they didn't get that money, and some of them did. So now what happened is that in the Illinois case, the judge had a contempt hearing, a civil contempt hearing, because it's a way that the judge can pull everybody into court quickly, and said, "Where's the money? We're freezing your assets. We're freezing your assets." And that means that money's not going anywhere. What we learned from that is that not only were the assets being frozen, but what the court said, and I don't have a minute order yet from it. It wasn't populated yesterday, but I've seen the news reporting from the people who called in to listen to the hearing, is that the firm represented that they only have $15,000 in their firm's accounts. Okay, so there's only $15,000 in the firm's accounts, but there are $2 million owed to clients of the Lion Air crash. That doesn't even get into all of the other amounts that are owed for, there's money owed for debts, for loans, stuff from Wells Fargo. So there's all these other debts. But for the debts for the plane crash, it states that there's $2 million outstanding. And with the $2 million outstanding, there's only $15,000 in the client trust account. Where is the money? And so the court froze the assets to try to figure out where it is. I am not sure how this is going to go. I don't like any of what I'm reading. The court had some very strong language. And here's the thing. These are allegations, but the attorney should be able to say either clients have been paid, clients haven't been paid, here's the money. And that's what the court's saying. The court's saying, but where is the money? And there was no answer. And so the court's like, fine, we're freezing all your assets. We're going to figure this out. You don't take money. The court seemed as mad as the rest of the lawyers. Like, the money's not supposed to disappear. It's supposed to go to the client. And the court said that he was going to be forwarding the case to have it criminally looked into. So now we're in, is there a possible criminal investigation here too? Because the judge was like, no, Emily interpretation, the judge was like, no, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. Money's not enough here. On the other side, we know Tom Girardi's been going through health issues. I saw scrolling through the chat that he may have been hospitalized. We know that there's been health issues ongoing. We've got this divorce ongoing. There are so many debts coming forward. Whew. Y'all, this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well at all. Can they make them liquidate everything that they own? Yes. Should that happen? We'll see where the money went. I want to see the accounting, but I'm glad everything's being frozen. It looks like we are at the tip of the iceberg, and this is going to crescendo into a very large bankruptcy proceeding. And what happens in bankruptcy is that when you go into a bankruptcy like this, it pulls all of these different cases in. And then the bankruptcy court pulls all of the money in and then doles it out. The Boy Scouts did this. And I have a podcast on the Boy Scouts of America bankruptcy. And what a bankruptcy will do is pull in all pending litigation and resolve it inside of the bankruptcy. So it almost puts this like cloche over it of like cone of silence where it all goes into the bankruptcy. So any pending litigation also comes into the bankruptcy and it gets handled. I think that that's the direction this is going to be going. And then we won't know anything, which would be disappointing. Just because now I'm invested in this. I want to know. When lawyers act like this, it pisses me off. And so I want to see how this plays out. I really want to know that the clients in this case and other cases, because there's other clients that have sued him, that other clients get their money too. I mean, he has billions in settlements. Like he's made billions in settlements, and 30% of those settlements, I just don't know. So pulling this all into bankruptcy and liquidating stuff, I mean, yeah, it should happen. And we'll see what happens. I'm shocked. I don't know where the money is. So that is going to go into probably bankruptcy. And that is going to be broken down tomorrow because there's some other lawsuits that I've pulled, and I'm going to break those down in the podcast tomorrow. And then, like every Wednesday, the podcast will be streamed on the channel as a premiere so we can live chat all together. And then if I'm feeling okay, we will do if I still have a voice, because my voice has been like I feel it. We'll do a little after party and answer all of your questions about that. So I want to make sure I get some of the super chats and questions that have come through. And I don't even know if I can pull them up on the screen, but I'll pull them up and see them. And then I'm going to move on to the Without a Crystal Ball stuff and then answer questions. So I will timestamp. I need to start keeping paper on my desk. So I know that this is when we're taking a pause so that people who watch it later who are like, Emily, stop rambling, that we have talked about Girardi until 1823. Let me hit some of these super chats. Thank you guys for your support. I appreciate it. Mods, thank you guys for letting me know what super chats I've missed. I appreciate that so much. Trina, Merry Christmas, Emily and family. Thank you. PJ and Family Vlogs, thanks for being real. You're welcome. Even when it's hard, we're going to be real because we're going to be real. Ocean Silhouette, January members only chat Among Us stream with the gang. That's a fantastic idea. I think we should definitely do that. I think we should do that for sure. We're going to invite Creepshow too. Creepshow, good to see you. I hope you're feeling better, darling. I've been following along with your story. I'm going to DM you. I've had some similar experiences post-surgery and it's awful. And my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well recovering from surgery. It's the worst. I think I got everything. There was one I missed from Lauren. Let me see if I can pull, and I can't pull it up. There was one I missed from Lauren. Just got sweatshirt and merch. Where can I send a picture? You can DM it to me at the Emily D. Baker. This house loves all the bakers. Thank you so much, Lauren Elizabeth. And thank you very much, mods, for putting those in the mod chat so I can see them. I really, really, really appreciate that. I'm going to go look. I'll fight anything that hurts Creepshow. I feel very protective. I'm going to make sure we get some questions answered on the Tom Girardi stuff, and then I'm going to hop over to the Without a Crystal Ball stuff, and then we'll just talk. And we are going to just do that way. I really hope they haven't used all that money to fund their private jets, etc. Sandra, I hope so too. That's the allegation in the lawsuit, that they've used this money to fund their extravagant lifestyle. But if they own jets, jets can be sold. I know there was rumblings that one of the planes might have been sold. So we'll see. Emily says, I have a feeling since they're technically still married, everything could be taken. I think that the disgorgement of funds, like the taking away of funds, will come first. And I think what's going on with Tom Girardi could pause the divorce proceedings. We'll see what the divorce court does. But I think the other courts might say, no, we're with the assets frozen, the divorce will come after the rest of this. And that is depending on his health too, because this, I hate to be morbid. This could all end up in a bankruptcy court, and then the divorce will get settled in a bankruptcy court. This could also end up in an estate where they're dealing with the estate if he is not well, which of course I don't wish that on anyone, but there are multiple ways this can go. This is going to be, once again, we're at the tip of the iceberg of mess with this. And it just, again, I don't really care if people make but tons of money. I mean, I saw a lot of hate toward, was it Cardi B, who was posting about buying like a ridiculously expensive purse, and people were like, it's not sensitive, it's a pandemic. And I'm like, right, but she made her money, and if she wants to spend it on a purse, I get that maybe like flexing on social media is not what everybody wants to see, but I'm like, girl, you made your money, spend your money when it's your money. Like if somebody wants to spend $40,000 a month on glam, spend it. Like I wouldn't do it. That doesn't work in my life. But if this money is being spent off of what the clients should have gotten, it's a whole new thing. Like once again, if you're Beyonce and you made your money, spend your money. Cool. Do it how you want to do it. But if you're making that money that doesn't belong to you, I got a whole lot of problems. I saw the comments about, yes, I've got a black one and a gray one from Costco. They're the Danskin. They're so comfortable. And they're just so comfortable. Look, y'all, I like fancy purses. I buy maybe one every 2 years. I don't buy fancy clothes at all. It's gross. And if it's been deliberate, it's even worse. Ink and pearls. I absolutely agree with you 100%. Question: if their account is frozen, can they even function paying bills? Can't even pay for a cup of coffee. Paul, it just depends on how much of their assets are frozen. But yes, it's going to get very, very interesting because the attorneys will have to say, look, we need a living fund on this. This feels like an initial, like, do not move anything. And I don't know if they froze every personal asset. So we'll see. I don't have all the details on that, which is why it's going into the podcast, which, because my podcast editor loves me and is patient, hasn't finished being recording yet. So those are some of the things I'm going to address in it. Anna, I've seen some indications that some of the law firm creditors who received money knew they received money from the Lion Air accounts. Could they be forced to return that? Anna, the lawsuit's asking for that. Yes. Could they be forced to return it? It'd be hard to show that they knew, but it depends. It depends, but it depends. And that's why I think all of this will end up in a bankruptcy court, where the bankruptcy court will take all litigation from across the country, put it into one place, and then parse out the money. From the news, it appears that a hospitalization is not current, but he was sick in recent months, causing him to be away from the firm. I'm not going to do that right. Zena? I tried. I'm sorry. Z's are hard. Yes, the lawsuit alleges that he had been sick and away from the firm in recent months. So that is what it is. Ang, I'm glad the judge is taking it so seriously, considering to what happened to these poor people's family members. And the judge, from the statements in the news, the judge seemed pissed. Like low key, the language was angry. And that's, I mean, I would imagine when you're an attorney, you look at it and go, there is some basic shit that you don't fuck with. Client trust accounts are basic shit that you don't fuck with. So I can see why a judge would just be like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this at all. I know I missed a few questions. Emily L. Hi, Emily. Don't know if you've mentioned it, but could the divorce happening influence spousal privilege? It could, but I think the divorce will be, paused in light of everything. So we'll see. But yes, a divorce could allow her to speak. She can't waive spousal privilege on her own. And I'll talk about that. I'm going to put a note to talk a little bit more about spousal privilege in the podcast. I have to take notes or I'll forget. Because spousal privilege can't be just waived by one person. So Erica can't just be like, I want to talk. Like Tom can be like, no, you can't. But she might be trying to get divorced so that she can. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a mess for sure. Morning, Emily. Are you going to go over the Tremont here for the T lawsuit? The free speech and libel per se language is intriguing. I have not pulled it up yet. It is on my list because I've seen it. Yes, Cardi. And also with Cardi B, the Cardi B Tasha K lawsuit is on my list as well. So that is both. Emily Robb, I love how many Emilys we have up in the chat here, y'all. Don't mean to be macabre, but what happens if the defendant dies during a civil case before it's decided? The estate has to continue to deal with it. And we had this happening. We were buying a business from somebody that we knew. It was the father of somebody I grew up with. My husband was buying his dental practice, and he had been diagnosed with a very quick moving and terminal cancer. And so we ended up finishing out the proceedings for that with the estate. It's not, I don't know how to say this with due sensitivity. It's not so different in civil law going through an estate if somebody passes in the middle of a transaction. Obviously, with criminal charges, that would stop because criminal, you're kind of punishing the person, but the estate continues to go with the money being wrapped up. But I do think this will end up, given everything I've seen, my gut response on this is we're going to end up in bankruptcy to sort all this out, because now we have multiple jurisdictions, and we have multiple jurisdictions that are going to be fighting over the same amount of money or the same pool of money. And I think it's going to end up in bankruptcy court. If I were an attorney in the case, I'd be like, why are we not getting into bankruptcy court at this point? Off topic, but can we get some prayers and good energy for your sister, a hospice nurse who has COVID? Absolutely, we can. And Lisa, thank your sister for her service. Hospice nursing is so very needed and so very difficult. So yes, absolutely. For those of you that are inclined to send prayers, well wishes, the force, AWA, and good juju, all the things. Yes, Lisa, and thank you. And tell your sister thank you from the Law Nerds for her service, because I imagine nursing, and especially hospice nursing during this time, is tremendously stressful. Diva Views, thank you for reminding the Law Nerds that Doing the World of Flavor has a code now. Doing the World of Flavor is I'm just going to say they're the official popcorn vendor of my house, because I love them and I love supporting LB and his business. So absolutely, you guys, if you still need stuff, you need to send somebody some yums over the holidays, they have Oreo popcorn. It's incredible. So thank you, Diva Views, for popping that into the chat and reminding everybody. I need to put that on our regular thing. Thank you, mods, for reminding me. Nicole, does anyone know if you can be a channel member when you have YouTube Premium? Nicole, I don't know, but Tech Valor might be able to answer that. I think that you still can. Thank you. The C is silent in Zarina. Thank you, Mama Catherine. My brain sometimes doesn't work with words anyway, and when I'm not feeling well, it just doesn't. I hope they get a bankruptcy court judge with a sense of humor. I hope they get a bankruptcy court judge who will keep the proceedings so we know what happens. Because I really feel invested. I really feel invested in this case, and it's triggered all of my protective vibes. The thought that people lost family members in a plane crash and then it looks like the judge was indicating these are $500,000 payouts to each family member or to each family group. And that is substantial amounts of money for people, given what they've lost, especially if they lost their primary breadwinner in the family. And it really just, there are some things that really bug, but lawyers not doing what they're supposed to do is one of those things that just hits at the heart. And you're just like, oh, what are you doing? These people deserve the money that they've gone through this tragedy. They've gone to this attorney to win them this thing, and then nothing. And so I'm frustrated by it. So that is the Tom and Erica Girardi thing. We are going to move on to a new filing that I have not had a chance to read because it just popped up. It might have popped up last night, but I just saw it this morning. There have been a few filings in the Tati Westbrook case. And then I'll get back into answering questions and going through all of this. So we're at 30 minutes and we're moving on. So for all of you who need a quick refresh on the Tati Westbrook without a crystal ball, KJ defamation case. Tati Westbrook has 2 pending lawsuits. This is the one where she sued a channel here on YouTube over alleged defamatory statements. That is winding its way through the court proceedings. There has been, because one of the parties has continued to talk about the case and continued to talk on social media and videos and Twitter and Instagram and all the things, there is definitely more interest in this one case than the business partner case. With the business partner case, it kind of bubbles up to the surface a little, but then it disappears. Also, there's been so much that has happened in this Tati Westbrook defamation case that we are just going, what is so much has happened pre-litigation. The motion to not delete your shit, as we call it here in the Law Nerds, was filed by Tati Westbrook. The motion to not delete your shit essentially says, hey, you have a legal obligation as a part of a civil litigation and pending civil litigation to preserve evidence. That is a normal and natural thing that happens in all civil litigation. You can't just delete your shit. And when you talk about deleting shit, you think of like Enron, where it's like, oh, here, let me put this on. Oh, we can't just go shred documents. No, you have to preserve evidence. And if you don't, you or your attorneys can be sanctioned, amongst other things. There can also be jury instructions and things like that. So there was a stipulated order regarding the preservation of evidence today. I know everybody has been waiting to see, that was today. No, that was filed yesterday. I know everybody was waiting to see if there would be an answer to the motion to not delete your shit. This is the answer. It is a proposed stipulated order. Let me tell you what a stipulated order is. That'd probably be helpful. Back it up, Emily. Back it up. Boop, boop, boop. Stipulated order means that both sides have come together and agreed. That means the attorneys for both sides have had a talk and saying, okay, what do we need to do? And that's likely because the attorneys on both sides know that you're obligated to not delete your shit. And when you're obligated to not delete your shit, it means that none of it. And so when stuff is happening on social media, not deleting your shit can mean no comments get deleted, no tweets get deleted, no videos get deleted, no lives get deleted, nothing. Like nothing gets deleted. If it is said or put out there or created, it doesn't get deleted. That doesn't mean it can't get privated, for sure, but it means it can't get deleted. So Tati's side filed a motion alleging that evidence was being deleted by KJ and Without a Crystal Ball. The reason I think this suit has garnered so much interest is because everyone's watching it play out, and because people who have watched the beauty community or the commentary community are familiar with the players here and are interested to see how it's playing out, because it's playing out in front of us. People are watching what's happening on Twitter going, wait a second, are tweets getting deleted? Wait a second, is this getting deleted? So there is lots of that. So the motion, I'm just going to pull up the motion real quick so I can show you what was asked for, and then we're going to go and look at this stipulation. Again, a stipulation means that the parties have come together and agreed, and they told the judge, look, we agree on this. This is what we're willing to do. So let me pull up the motion to not delete your shit so we can just have a quick refresher before we talk about the stipulation. And then there's a few other things. There's a few other things that have happened in that case, just a few other things that have been filed that I've gotten asked about that are just procedural, essentially, and we'll talk about those too. Okay. So this was calendared for December 18th, so a response would have been due. Remember, I had talked about the response being late, and then the court had actually issued a minute order saying that they were extending time. So now this stipulation will say this motion doesn't need to be heard because we've agreed. If the judge signs it, we'll go through and read it, and I'll tell you if I think the judge is likely to sign it. If both sides agreed, then it's likely that the judge will sign it, because the motion to preserving evidence is a basic thing. So this shouldn't be too deep. Seriously. The motion to preserve went through what was being alleged to be deleted, and went through that they were saying Plaintiffs intend to bring a motion for sanctions at a later date to address the intentional destruction of relevant evidence, and such motion at a minimum will request a spoliation jury instruction. I had mentioned a jury instruction. A jury instruction means that if this case goes to trial, a jury will hear, if the judge grants this, a jury will hear that the defendant in this case destroyed evidence that prejudices the plaintiff. So puts the plaintiff in a more difficult light because information or evidence was destroyed. They can still bring that motion and might, because they say at a minimum. The standard for destroying evidence we went through in other videos, and I will link those after this later. I think this is why everyone's so fascinated watching this play out. It's because we have these legal documents, and then it's like, oh, and then we're watching stuff happen on social. So it feels like we can watch along what's happening. And in this, they talk about what they've relied on. They talk about the issue. This is a very clean motion. It's why we enjoy a SALTC motion, because it goes through very cleanly. Evidence relied upon, issue presented. It's an IRAC format, argument and authority. And so when I talk about that format in other cases, this is the format, what the court should do, what the law says, why they should do it. They go through the 3 factors and cite the law that, there exists significant risk to the continuing existence and maintenance of the integrity of the relevant evidence if no preservation order is issued, is the heart of this. So, hey, don't delete your stuff. That's all of this. It talks about the fact that they want to not just preserve the thing that was said, but also the analytics behind it. How many for Twitter, how many retweets, how many responses, how many shares for YouTube, what are the analytics, things like that. So this was the motion, and at the end of the motion, they asked for a preservation order that said this was the proposed order granting. This is something lawyers do. This is what lawyers do when they file motions generally is, Your Honor, if you agree with me, here's the proposed motion. You don't even have to write up a motion. This is what I'm proposing. And then if the judge signs it, this will become the order. The proposed will get lined out. This was the proposed order. This was not signed by the judge. This motion wasn't heard yet. But the proposed order was, and the reason I'm pulling this up is because I want to see what the stipulation says vis-a-vis what the proposed order says. So that Tati's side was asking that KJ and Without a Crystal Ball be ordered to preserve published content related to plaintiffs, including social media posts on any internet platform, including but not limited to IG, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, videos, live chats and streamed, including live videos on IG stories, comments on social media posts and videos, that they're also hereby ordered to preserve relevant evidence related to plaintiffs' claims, including without limitation, direct and or instant messages sent to or received by defendants relating to plaintiffs, emails, text messages, phone messages sent or received by defendants relating to plaintiffs. So any conversations, any DMs, any discords, anything like that. That defendants' failure to comply with this order may subject them to sanctions for civil contempt, and that the order does not preclude plaintiff from seeking discovery sanctions to the extent that relevant evidence was deleted or destroyed by defendants once they knew or reasonably should have known that evidence would be relevant to litigation or potential litigation. And the motion here pins that date to October 31st when notice was given. That's what Tati's side is saying. That's when notice was given that there was the obligation to preserve. And I see the questions about how do we know if stuff was privated or not. I'm going to show you what they attached as their motion and what this was based on just quickly as we get into then the stipulation between the two parties, which means the two parties agreed on something, which is, it's always good to see. So we'll see. This is the declaration of Michael Saltz, Tati's attorney from LA. We call him Saltzy. There was a motion. It was granted. We will continue to call him Saltzy. He used fuckery on Twitter, so I feel like he doesn't mind that we call him Saltzy. These are exhibits attached to Saltzy's motion, and that indicates that the notice to preserve was in the email sent to KJ, and it was also acknowledged by her attorney. at the time. And then these are the screenshots that they went through saying, okay, this was served and notice was given October 30th, October 31st. This was filed November 4th. And on November 4th, we're already seeing videos missing. So the privated videos aren't going to be as much of a problem as long as the back end stuff is preserved. It's the deleted videos that they're really getting after. So then they're going through what's been deleted, what's been privated, and then going through the fact that comments have been removed or deleted, and the fact that tweets were deleted. And this was at the time 9,562 versus 9,525. And that in this motion, the attorney says we were trying to capture how many tweets there were and stuff was going missing at the time. So this is all of the comments that she said she wasn't supposed to delete. I think they're also, since people have seen and commented to me that comments are going missing on videos. So like if I went in as you guys were commenting and deleted comments on a live, that would be a problem too, because it can all go through and be part of this, because part of what we're talking about in defamation suit is how people took the things she was saying, and comments are relevant to that. So these are deleted tweets, and they're showing, look, tweets have been deleted. This is what they put in their motion. So this is in the motion. Let's see what the proposed order says. Okay. Proposed order. Whereas, so the whereases are like the statement of fact. Like, this is where we're at. This is letting the judge know this is what's happening. Whereas on November 4th, plaintiffs filed a motion for order to not delete your shit. I paraphrased. It's an order to preserve. We're still going to call it an order to not delete your shit. Whereas in that motion, plaintiffs contend that after sending a notice to preserve evidence on October 30th, 2020, defendants subsequently destroyed evidence related to and or reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence. Whereas defendants dispute the factual and legal assertions in plaintiff's motion and deny that they have violated any duty to preserve evidence. So they're not admitting it, which you wouldn't admit it in a motion. You would have a hearing for that. Whereas the parties wish to resolve the dispute without further involvement of the court. That means we're not saying we did anything wrong. However, we also don't need to have a court hearing on this at this time. So we're willing to agree to the thing that is basic, essentially. We're willing to agree that this thing that shouldn't happen, which is a good thing. It probably will not piss off the court so much. I think that it's a good tactical move, because for Saltsy's side, here we're going to go in and see what the order says, but for Tati's side, they just want the evidence to be preserved. For KJ's side, they probably want to not piss off the judge, and not having this heard is probably a good way to do that. So I think that strategically for both sides, this is a good move. Now, therefore, plaintiffs and defendant by and through their respective undersigned counsel hereby stipulate to this court's entry of the following order. So they're telling the court, you can enter this order. We cool. This matter comes before the court upon the parties' stipulation and proposed order regarding preservation of evidence based on the parties' stipulation, and for good cause, it is ordered that. So this is what the judge is going to sign an order if the judge approves. Again, I don't know why a judge wouldn't. Generally, when there's a stipulation between the parties on something basic, it's cool. Defendants, KJ and Without a Crystal Ball, are hereby ordered, I'm knocking shit over on my desk, are hereby ordered to preserve all published content within their custody or control that they know or have reason to know is either relevant to this matter or could reasonably be expected to lead to the discovery of relevant information on this matter, including without limitation, social media content on any internet platform, including but not limited to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube. That sounds very much like the language in plaintiff's order on their motion. Videos, all live chats and stream, including live videos on Instagram stories, comments on all social media posts and videos. That sounds very much like the proposed order that was attached to plaintiff's motion. Defendants KJ and Without a Crystal Ball are hereby ordered to preserve all published content within their custody or control that they know or have reason to know is either relevant to this matter or could reasonably be expected to lead to the discovery of relevant information on this matter, including without limitation, direct and or instant messages sent or received by defendants and emails, text messages, phone messages, in any other form of related communication sent or received by defendants. Defendants' failure to comply with this order may subject defendants to sanctions, including sanctions for civil contempt. This order does not preclude plaintiffs from seeking discovery. Oh, this is essentially the order that they were asking for. Defendants' failure to comply may subject defendant to sanctions. This order does not preclude plaintiffs from seeking discovery sanctions. I imagine that will happen as they go through the discovery process and really see what's been removed or not removed. I imagine once they have more information that they can do that. This order does not preclude plaintiffs from seeking discovery sanctions. I already said that. Nothing contained herein shall be deemed a waiver of either party's rights with respect to seeking or resisting discovery or an admission regarding the discoverability or admissibility of any evidence, which essentially means that this is not, we are confirming that we have an obligation to preserve. We're not saying that means everything's discoverable. We haven't even started discovery. And discovery is the process wherein either side turns over evidence, answers questions, and what happens. So this includes everything from the beginning of this case, essentially. And anything else that gets deleted, I think the only argument would be if other things disappear that they're not related to this case. So it has to be relevant to this matter or reasonably expected to lead to the discovery of relevant information in this matter. So if there's discussion about other things that she talks about, and there's no discussion of this case, nobody asking a question in the comments about this case, nobody proposing like, how are you doing about this case? Nothing about this case, just a live stream about, I don't know, a live stream about a dog or something that has no context with this, nothing about this, then that's not going to be a problem. It's relating to this case. It's not just everything. So it has to be relevant to this matter or reasonably expected to lead to discovery, which means any comments about this case, questions about this case. I imagine that we'll see more, the mods won't be deleting comments because that would be problematic, that you won't have, that might include just members only chat. That will include not deleting like responsive tweets to her or hiding tweets and things like that. So this will be granted, I imagine. Let's see. It might have already been, I don't know if it's already been signed. I pulled this up this morning. And so it will be, I imagine it will be signed by the judge today. And that will be what it is. But the order just confirms a basic part of litigation. And that is, once you have noticed that litigation is pending, even if it hasn't been filed yet, you have a duty to preserve. We saw that talking about the Britney Spears conservatorship. There was a cease and desist within that one of the filings, and the bottom of the cease and desist had that preservation notice, like litigation is imminent. You're obligated to preserve. So this is a very basic part of civil trial and of civil practice. Let me go through and answer questions. I've also seen some super chats come in that I didn't necessarily have a chance to get to, and I want to make sure I do. Trina, I can't figure out how you join as a member of your awesome channel. I am sure that somebody in the chat lets you know. Question, what about blocking people that have commented so they can no longer comment? Uncovering hypocrisy, I don't know how that would play in. I don't know how that would play in, because if it's not deleting it, it's just preventing them from doing it. I don't know how that would play in, because it wouldn't be deleting per se, but I don't know. I don't know how that would play in front of a court. If I was the attorney, I would say be very careful about what you do. If I were getting sued, I would probably do what Tati's doing, my own personal. I would probably do what Tati's doing, but you never know until you're in a situation. But I would probably just peace out off the internet. But I also realize that's harder to do when it's your livelihood. So I absolutely believed that James Westbrook had a lengthy criminal rap sheet and a history of scamming. And Bijou, those types of things go into a defamation, do people believe it's stated as fact, or do people think it's hyperbole if you say, oh my God, so and so's the worst? Like, do you really believe that they're the worst, or do you know that that's like a statement of opinion, right? And some of the defamation per se, and if you guys watched me talk with Nate the lawyer, we had this conversation. Some of the defamation per se, especially regarding James Westbrook, is going to be hard in this case, in my opinion. Other lawyers may disagree. And that's the fun of having attorneys talk about stuff, because it's like, oh, why do you think this? Oh, why do you think that? Oh, let's have a conversation about it, which is why I really enjoyed doing that stream last week, because we got to have that conversation about, oh, that's so interesting. And what do you think the pre-litigation looks like versus going to a jury trial looks like? Because we all approach things different ways, and it's fun. So I really enjoyed, I know a number of you reached out to me and were like, but Nate's friends with KJ, don't, be mindful. But he has been very clear about that. And I'm not going to not have a conversation with someone because they're also friends with somebody that's come for me on Twitter. Like, we're adults. We can have a conversation. And I think he and I had a really fun and great conversation. I look forward to doing it again. Can you imagine can you imagine what the judge is thinking looking at these Twitter account names? Please see Exhibit A, tweet from without any hairy balls. I can. A judge is going to look at all of this and just be like, what is happening? And it's going to take a very patient research attorney or law clerk saying, okay, this is the Twitter drama. Like, here's the tea on YouTube. But also, it's not really the obligation of the judge to go outside and learn about any of this that's presented. The judge needs to stick to what the attorneys present. So it's not like the judge can go on Twitter and look for themselves. The judge needs to wait and see what is being presented so that they have context. And that's where this motion to dismiss is very interesting in this case, because the motion to dismiss brings in a lot of context. I've said multiple times, I think it's irrelevant, but it does bring in context for the judge. And Salty's going to have a chance to respond to that. So that's the next thing we're going to see in the defamation case, is the response to the motion to dismiss, which Salty got next because Without a Crystal Ball's attorney went over the page limit. The court in their minute order extended the page limit for Salty too. I imagine it's going to be chocked full of receipts. KJ stated a lot about James's personal life as if it was facts and they were all harmful to his reputation. And I think that that's where the defamation per se is going to be very, very, very hard. And others disagree with me, but I don't think James is going to count as a public figure for the court. I think Tati will. I don't necessarily think James will. Let me go through and try to... Oh, Diane, thank you. You do such a great job. I've been binge watching your channel while I'm down from surgery. I really look forward to watching all your videos. Thank you, Diane. I try to bring the facts, not fuckery, and keep my content has definitely shifted as I've gone into the pop culture commentary as well, to try to make sure that we're talking about all of the, like, what the law says, what this is, and how it'll play out. I don't always speculate on how it'll play out because sometimes I just don't know. And I say what I'm looking forward to seeing or what will be interesting, but I don't always know. And that's why, even when stuff goes on and I get attacked, KJ's attacked me a couple times on Twitter. It's not really relevant to what we do here other than it's context. And I say it's context, but at the end of the day, I want to see people. This is an interesting case, and we're going to keep seeing cases like this on commentary and on the bounds of commentary with regard to public figures, not public figures. The Tati defamation case gives us context for defamation regarding a public figure. I don't think James will be a public figure, but I'm interested to see what a court will think, because then it's like, does somebody appearing on your YouTube channel a couple times make them a public figure? Does it make them a public figure for limited use? Does that open the door all the way to digging into their personal background? I'm very interested to see that. And then we've got defamation regarding a business. So things said about Halo Beauty too. So we have three very interesting topics at a time when we're also seeing more and more lawsuits over reviews on Travelocity, reviews on Yelp, and things like that, where business owners are suing people for leaving negative reviews. So we're in a time where what you say online is having more and more real world consequences. And this case goes right into that and kind of reestablishing the parameters and having a broader conversation about what you can say online and when it becomes actionable when you just pop off on social media. And that's very, very, very interesting to me. So I missed a super chat and I'm trying to get to it, and I think I missed it all the way. And the mods pointed it out. Nope. Here we go. Tamara Davis question: there seems to be confusion in the chat. Does the no delete count for all of KJ's content or just what's relevant to the case? I hope that I cleared that up, but it goes to what's relevant to the case. But that means even if it's a topic not about the case and there's comments about the case, it applies to that too. So it's anything. I'm just going to read it again, but thank you for asking. And I hope I said Tamara right and it's not Tamara. Let me know. Hopefully I got it right and put the emphasis on the proper A. So this stipulation says, is either relevant to this matter or could reasonably be expected to lead to the discovery of relevant information in this matter. Because there's already been a motion on this, personally, I'd be very careful in determining what is relevant, and I would run that through. Like if it were me, I'd run that through an attorney and say, do you believe this is relevant? And I would preserve it. So even if there's a video that wants to come down, if the attorneys have agreed that privating videos is fine, then you private it instead of delete it, stuff like that. But it says relevant to this matter or could reasonably be expected to lead to the discovery. So if it's off topic, but then there's comments in the chat about it, I would err towards you leave it, because again, you can now be held in contempt of court if stuff gets removed. That stipulates that can happen. And also, we still know that Tati's side has reserved their right to bring discovery sanctions and try to get a jury instruction where the jury's told they deleted shit and that hurt our case. Juries don't like that at all. A question: doesn't this work in KJ's favor? I think that the stipulation works in both parties' favor, and that's what you should see in a stipulation. Tati's side wanted the shit to stop getting deleted. And I imagine KJ's side wanted to not have this all litigated in front of the court. I wouldn't want this litigated in front of the court this early in proceedings. So I think it works for both sides. I really do. And I think it's a good thing. Question: what about things posted since it was filed? So Romanesque Sweetheart, everything since October 30th, I think comes into play on this. And thank you, Ang. Question from Ellen M. Are you into international criminal law as well? I would be interested in hearing your views on the executive order issued against the International Criminal Court last September. I am not as well versed in international as I am, so it takes me longer to put stuff together because I don't have as much of a baseline on it. But I am setting up an email to take suggestions. It hasn't been done yet, but I am setting up an email where I can just put all of your content suggestions, because I see them in live chat and on Twitter and on Insta, and I'm trying to like coalesce them into one place. And then I tend to let the channel members vote on certain topics, like are we covering this or this, when there's not enough time, because that's part of channel membership, is getting to help direct what the content is, because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here. So thank you for that question. And let me see if there are, that conversation was very interesting and dynamic from Priscilla Carbona. I'm glad you did the collab with him. I'm glad I did too. Nate and I had a really nice chat, and I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that we did. I have no problem talking with other attorneys, and I will always give somebody a shot and always say, hey, let's have an interaction and see what our interaction is like. And lawyers often can disagree without it being personal. Not always, but most lawyers can say, oh, I see it this way. Oh, I see it this way. And that's not personal. It's like playing hoops with your friend. Like, you want to win, but it's still your friend. So you have a friendly game. And that's what lawyer discussions a lot of the time are. It's a friendly conversation of what about this and what about that, but it's not like, oh, you're wrong. It's like, oh, how do you see it? And it's more like intellectual hoops, really, with the goal being a fun conversation about different topics. And that's really what I enjoy. And that's why when other lawyers are like, can we chat? I'm like, yes, we can chat. Now, we do. Uncivil Law and I have been talking about trying to find a time to chat. I know that there are lawyers on YouTube that do panel discussions. So if that ever comes up, we'll just do it. And we'll do it. Hey said, here's the main question I want to know. Is KJ going to be in any trouble? If plaintiffs bring a motion for sanctions, then that can be trouble. They can also bring that motion for jury instructions. I don't know if we'll see that until after discovery. This case is not going to be done quick. This is going to be a long case. Even if, and I'm considering exploring like what happens if she wins the motion to dismiss on jurisdiction and it gets refiled in Minnesota. But even if she wins the motion to dismiss on jurisdiction, the case will just get refiled in another jurisdiction. This is going to be lengthy. Can she just turn off comments? Deblum asks. I don't know. I imagine the attorneys would have talked about that and would have their own questions about that. Pretty Little Thing asked a question. Can they subpoena YouTube for the analytics if they need to, regardless of if the videos are deleted? Pretty Little Thing, I would think that they can absolutely subpoena YouTube. I don't know if YouTube keeps that information after things are deleted or for how long. And so I think that that's the concern there. Doublemint said, apparently KJ ended her friendship with Nate because he spoke to you. Well, I hope that's not true because, again, Nate and I had a really nice conversation, but it didn't really have anything to do with that. So I hope that's not true because I think if Nate is, and it sounds like they have been friendly, you always, when you're going through stuff like this, you always need friend. So I hope that that's not true. Michael said, Ellen, she is a lawyer, but not our lawyer. Thank you. Alexander asked, didn't KJ apologize to you on Twitter? Briefly. Angie, KJ has told Nate goodbye now because he did the stream with you. Well, again, I'm sorry to hear that because just like I wouldn't say I'm not going to have a conversation with Nate because he has other acquaintances and friends on the internet. I would hope that that's not the case, but I'm sure that conversation will happen between them. It seems like if you have a friend that is a lawyer that is talking to you as you're going through this stuff, that is support that you probably need and should have. But I'm not going to that's between them, but that would be disappointing because again, all adults. Amber Owen says, I think the judge is watching all of this for some entertainment. Probably not, because most judges don't want a preconceived notion coming into a case. They just want to hear what is on the record and they consider what's presented before them. Judges don't go out and do their own research on a case, maybe after the fact. But after the fact, I also want to talk to the lawyers and be like, Saltsy, were you ready to ride at dawn when you saw tweets being deleted? Like, how ready to ride at dawn were you? Like, how mad after 18 months of cease and desist, and then you serve the thing, and then you see videos getting deleted. I want to know the rage level on like 0 to, apocalypse rage. I imagine ride at dawn was right at dawn level rage was there. Amy Yost says, I would love to be a fly on the wall for the first hearing later this week. Hey, Zoom. Amy Yost, this was supposed to be the hearing later this week. I think that the court will sign this and there won't be a hearing this week, which means the next hearing in this case will be the motion to dismiss hearing, but we're still going to get a response to that. I imagine the response is going to come right around, it should be due right around Christmas. So we're going to see that response coming in hot at the holidays, probably full of receipts, but we'll still talk about it. We're not traveling. Texas Zombie Lover. I think that's Texas Zombie Lover. Question, can the judge go look online at all this drama and not have it affect their judgments? I don't think so. If I were a judge, I wouldn't look at any outside information until afterwards because I'd want to know later. The thing is that motion to dismiss brings up a lot of outside drama. So it means that Saltsy has a right to respond to that outside drama, even though I've said I don't think that outside drama is relevant to the motion to dismiss. Saltsy now gets to respond. So the case is going to be litigated with some of the surrounding circumstances no matter what, because that door got kicked open. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. But no, the judge needs to keep it to what's presented in court. And if the judge needs to know something, the judge can ask and say, I need more information. And the lawyers will get to brief it. But the judge won't just go out and be like, okay, well, what's a PewDiePie? I want to see Trisha Paytas's video that was mentioned in this, because the judge is going to have to decide if they take judicial notice of the things, which they're not going to, because the motion to dismiss asks, let me just pull it up so we're all on the same page. That'd be a good idea, Emily. Just pull it up and talk about it instead of just talking about it without everybody looking at it. We're all on the same page. Hold on. Let me pull up the motion to dismiss real quick, because there is that list for judicial notice. Look, I'm going to use Control F. Y'all be proud of me. And we're going to pull up that list of things to take judicial notice of. Where is it? No. Now it has crashed. Hold on. We're going to just pull it up. Come on. Defendant's request for judicial notice. Here we go. So let's pull this up. I'm also going to put up here, during the holidays, while I am not streaming as much, y'all know I'll still be on Instagram. So I'm putting it up there. If you don't follow me on Instagram yet, that's where I will be doing stuff for sure. Okay. Wait, why did it? No, where'd it go? Defendant's request for judicial notice. So this request for judicial notice is for a whole bunch of video. Where's the list? Did these get out of order when I saved them? They might have, because it should be. Oh, there's the business partner lawsuit. Damn it. So they're asking for judicial notice to be taken of the business partner lawsuit, which we'll address later. They can take judicial notice of its existence, but not its contents, I think, but we'll see. And then all of these videos. So all of these videos we pulled up, this is like a Newsweek article. This is about PewDiePie. This is different YouTube videos with regard to Bye Sister. This is the Breaking My Silence video. This is a Know Your Meme about Carmageddon. But all of these videos that have been asked for, like this is Shane Dawson has a meltdown on IG Live about Tati's Breaking My Silence video. So that's been asked to take judicial notice of. Will the judge go watch these things? Not if the judge doesn't take judicial notice of them. If the judge takes judicial notice of them, yes. But the judge can't take judicial notice of out-of-court statements that are hearsay, essentially, like levels of hearsay, because Shane Dawson talking about what he's watching going down on Breaking My Silence is irrelevant to all of the stuff in that motion. So there's all of these different videos, but the judge can't even really take judicial notice of the fact that they exist. Like, is the judge going to talk about Trisha Paytas having a video called Tati's Dumb as Hell? No, because it's hearsay, it's opinion, and it's not relevant. So those videos aren't even going to come up. All right. I saw some things that I missed and I want to go address them because we've got a few more minutes. Thank you, Last Trip. We've got a few more minutes and then I'm going to have to, like, you can hear it. You can hear it. Jenna's day off and got to sleep. Day off and got to sleep in. So got to watch from the start, but aloha from Hawaii. Aloha and thank you. I enjoy this channel as well. It's breaking down the stuff is just so interesting. I'm freaking Rackin says that the judge, I'm assuming in this Tati Westbrook case, is appointed by President Carter, which means this is going to be a judge who is probably on the older side and does not know anything about the interwebs drama. That doesn't mean they can't like be hip to know. Renee said, I still want to hear Salty's voice. I'm sure we will at some point. I'm sure we will get to talk to Salty. Rita, I have a feeling we will only know the outcome if this goes criminal. Rita, I'm assuming that you're talking about the Tom Girardi case. This is going to look, y'all. This case is going to take time. Civil litigation is not fast. Civil litigation is expensive. With discovery, and we haven't really talked about the discovery process a lot, but with discovery, that process can take months and months and months of like hearings and litigation over what is discovery. And then you're going to have to get to depositions. And I think Nate and I touched on this a little bit, but with depositions in this case, they're going to go through every video that has been filmed or discussed Tati. That's not just sat down videos, but live videos. Every single video where this case is discussed, even the ones that happened after it was filed. That's what, hundreds of hours of video potentially. So depositions, I could imagine a situation where KJ herself could be in deposition talking about all of those videos for weeks, which is going to cost potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is going to be a long case, and we will keep coming back to it when it's time to come back to it. But this is not, we're going to get the pre-litigation stuff and the motion to dismiss, and then we'll probably see a pause depending on what happens with the motion to dismiss, because they will be going through the discovery process. And during that, not a lot will be filed in court unless there's disagreement between the parties, and then it'll pop up and we'll see it. But what we know about Suenami is that it's going to keep on rolling. There are a lot of lawsuits file. Ang said KJ blackballed Nate with the Uncivil Law Live, not Emily. She didn't feel Nate defended her enough when he literally got stupid with how much he defended her. Ang, thanks for the input. I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, aren't they? Top Rack 17 asked a question. Do we think Tati really cares about KJ and what she said on her channel? I feel like she's really after the business partner, and if it's found that he was the source, they will drop it. Top Rack 17, I don't know. I think it's a good pondering, and I think it's worth pondering. I think that the 4 cease and desists and the lawyer taunting might have changed the opinion into a "we ride" kind of a situation. I still don't know the thought process behind not having a conversation like lawyer to lawyer after the cease and desist. Maybe we'll know one day, maybe we won't. But it's interesting if they get to the business partner being the source after they've already sued, will they stop? I don't know. My gut right now is that this case is not going to settle short of trial. That's my, like, what day are we at? Today is the 15th of December. That is my today's guess, is that this is going to go to trial. That can change. But like as we sit here today, I don't see this settling short of trial, but you never know. But they're already in. For Tati's side, they stand, I feel like they stand to lose the least from continuing to keep going. It's going to be expensive, but I think that they will win on some of the merits if this goes to trial. Maybe not on everything. So we'll see. Booktube Goddess said, question, what's the difference between summary judgment and summary adjudication? And do you expect either in the Tati KJ case? So generally, Booktube Goddess is a fantastic question. Generally, it's the same depending on the court. They call it different things. A motion for summary judgment, generally called an MSJ, is, and some courts might call it a motion for summary adjudication, is a very lengthy motion where the judge uses a different standard than what you would necessarily see at a trial to see if there's enough for it to keep going forward. This will normally come up if there's like a fatal flaw, but that fatal flaw isn't enough to get dismissed at like a 12B6 motion. And the judge is like, no, this can't go forward. That'll often happen with things like, I don't know, not jurisdiction, but things like, oh, my brain just stopped. The timing is wrong. The statute of limitations. And sometimes that can come up even sooner. But I did a lot of motions for summary judgment as a law clerk, and they are very lengthy. They bring in quite a lot of exhibits. They normally happen after you've had some depositions, or if somebody says something at deposition, which means like this can't even go forward, you bring it up in that motion for summary judgment and say, look, this can't go forward to trial. We're not going to waste everybody's time. You need to rule and kick this out. So often does a whole case get kicked on summary judgment? No. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen here? We'll see. We're going to just continue to see. Let me see if there's any more questions. I know everybody's excited for Saltsy's response because it's going to have receipts And there's a lot to talk about in that motion to dismiss. So we're all kind of like, okay, what comes next? Bob and Carrie Kennedy said, looking forward to a legal textbook writer doing the research for this hot mess being studied. I feel like younger law professors could have quite an interesting semester in like civil procedure, talking about this case. I think that it would be fascinating because there's a lot here, and it really, there are good examples here, and they're real world, and stuff was said on social media. I think the Tasha K case and Cardi B case, I think some of these celebrity cases are a really interesting way to help law make sense, because you have the facts and you can just be like, but then they filed this and it says this, and then here's the links to the videos. And let's ask a bunch of law students, like, can you take judicial notice of the fact that Shane Dawson was mad about the Breaking My Silence video, and letting law students discuss it? It's so much more interesting than some of the arcane legal precedent that you learn in law school, and it would make for very interesting discussions. Karina Z asked in the chat, a question in the chat with Nate, there was speculation one that Red crossed the usual big letters that said really evil things about you. And so Karina Z, let me see if I can find the follow-up to that. In the chat, there was one. There was definitely a hater in that chat, but people are going to have issues, and people do have issues with me when people have valid like feedback, especially with regard to things that were said with regard to the Breonna Taylor case. When the people who have come to me and we've had DM and said, I was hurt because of this, I am so happy to have that conversation and say, I in no mean any way meant to hurt you. I didn't mean to say that because there was grounds for a search warrant, and yes, I absolutely could have said that better, but I didn't mean to say that because there were grounds for a search warrant meant to discount the fact that there is still fear over police and policing. And those conversations have been had, but there are some people who are not going to like me. It is. And I think all YouTubers have somebody who's like, I don't like your face, I don't like your voice, I don't like your hair. I get that. When it's a conversation, I'm absolutely willing to have the conversation. When it's your face is stupid or you're fat or whatever it is, it's not a conversation. Those are just people being opinionated or rude or what have you. So that's what it is. Let me see what other questions there are. And also, with the conversation with Nate, I didn't see a ton of the chat because we were having a conversation. So it was hard to focus on what was going on, but I'm sure there's a few. So let's continue on. Judges are human, so not really. Sadly, that is not a question. That is a conversation in the chat that I love that you guys have conversations in the chat. Sherry asks, how did the court not kick her filing without a motion for leave to file a motion to dismiss? Sherry, I think that the court didn't want to waste the time of being like, go back and do it again, so that the court fixed that in the minute orders. The minute orders were snark. The minute orders were per my standing order, per my standing order, per my standing order. But I also think the court didn't want to make them go back and do it again. So let me see what else is in the questions. Let me see. Mortgage Gal asked, what about KJ transferring ownership of her home and car prior to being served if she knew something was coming? I don't know anything about that, so I can't speculate on that. If that's happened, then it'll probably come up in discovery, I would imagine, and be addressed in discovery. The moving assets doesn't always work the way people think it will, so we'll see. Sherry asked, wasn't the filing over the page limit? It was, and the court extended a courtesy in their minute orders, and we went over those in another video. So absolutely. I'm going to make sure I get the rest of your questions, and then it is 12:20, and we're going to get rolling. I'm way behind. The question is, how will the jury selection go? So Probably long. It's federal jury selection, and people are going to want to. The attorneys are going to want to know. We're like a long way from that, but the attorneys are going to want to know if people have preconceived notions on this, or know about this, or have seen it go on. And I imagine it won't be hard to find people that get called for federal jury service who are like, I don't watch YouTube. I don't know what a Tati is. I don't follow any of these channels. I have no input on this. I don't think that will be hard to find. Question from Bree. Can in the future Katie do anything about all the harassing videos about her? There are tons and fake accounts on YouTube and Twitter, and that's going to be between her and her attorney to do. And whether she will ask for those to be taken down or not, that is really going to be up to her and her attorney. So are there things she can do? I'm sure her attorney will let her know if there are and what those are. Rachel, yes, Eric and Tom will be tomorrow's podcast. I will do an after party if I'm feeling okay. So I'm hoping that I will. Uncovering hypocrisy. I'm so confused. Didn't Without a Crystal Ball LLC miss deadlines? Yes. Uncovering hypocrisy, they did miss a deadline to file corporate statements. Those have been since filed. Those are the little things that will make a judge mad. But it's not something that's going to be fatal to the case. It's just something that's going to annoy a judge. And when you start out in litigation, it's always my belief that you should do everything that you can to make sure that the judge is not cranky with you for things that you can do something about. So the judge might be cranky with you because they're cranky with you or your firm or from something else that happened, or like they don't like your face or your voice or your writing style, but you don't want them to be cranky at you for missing a deadline, for not adhering to their standing order and things like that, because that just tips them over the top. You've got to imagine that most judges, like, their courtroom is their domain, and they want people to follow their rules in their domain, and they're like, you're going to follow my rules. So I always tried to keep judges on the good side, even if I thought they were wrong. And I'm like, but it's not over the pay. Okay, it's okay, Your Honor. Yes, I will try. It's kind of like being a teenager with a mad parent. Like, you try not to piss them off anymore, or at least I tried not to piss them off anymore. So we'll see. Question from Rihanna. Question arguendo. Brilliant. Maybe KJ deleted Shiz in order to prevent additional / new comments that could support Tati, but as stated, privating could achieve the same without losing analytics. I mean, privating could achieve the same. And I think the attorneys probably talked, and I think privating is probably not their issue, because part of the motion was wanting to get to wanting to save what was there and wanting to save the analytics. So in the future, will we see comments turned off? I don't know. Will that be okay? I don't know. It's really going to depend on this motion, but the stipulation, because there's a stipulation, these attorneys would have had conversations, probably multiple conversations about this, and would decide, like, what if this, what if this, what if this, and they will be able to give guidance on that. And so that will be very interesting. So we covered that one. I am way behind. I'm going to try to speed up, you guys. If I missed something, I am sorry. I'm hoping I'm not. And then the light keeps changing outside. Sorry. Let me see if there are anything other questions before we hop off. Tassie said, how does KJ go all the way to trial if she runs out of money first? That's going to be between her and her attorneys. And I'm sure they've had that conversation, because civil trials can be lengthy, but that can be a very real consideration. And it's something, like, out of talking about this case particularly, when I have clients who have been served a cease and desist, or when we've sent cease and desist, it's part of the conversation of how far, like, what's the end result that we're looking for, and what is the best way to get that end result. Oftentimes the end result's to get the other person to stop doing the thing that they're doing if you're sending a cease and desist. And if they agree to stop doing it, yeah, could you sue them for the damage? Yeah, you could. But are you going to sometimes spend more money than you're going to get? Yeah, sometimes. So a lot of the time it's how can we come to this resolution and come to an agreement and just have it stop? And that can be, I mean, most of the things I deal with, I don't do litigation anymore, but most of the things I deal with are able to be dealt with there because it's at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's just not worth the money. It's like, oh, okay, you think I'm doing this. I disagree. Can we come to somewhere in the middle so that we're clear with where the boundaries are of what you're uncomfortable with and what I'm willing to do or not do? And that's definitely how we do it. So, oh, pretty little thing. You're so sweet. She said, I'm like a giddy schoolgirl to see my question answered and on screen. Well, you're welcome. That's sweet. Thank you. Last trip had a question. Do you think any of the instances where KJ has come for people covering her case, like you or Creepshow on social media, will come in and play in, and how? It just depends on how this plays out and what the defenses are going forward. And it depends if character comes in. So if character doesn't come in at every trial, but if character comes in with regard to showing malice, could it come up? I can see that happening. And that goes to this case too, which is why when you guys have asked about, oh, well, if it's directly related to this case, right, but some of this stuff might feel like it's related, but not directly related, which is why I defer to the fact that when a stipulation is here, the attorneys would have talked about what their bounds are for what can and cannot happen. And you have to hope that somebody listens to their attorney in this situation. Jonathan B. asked, can a judge have a fundamental lack of knowledge about social and internet terms and ideas make them unable to rule on the case? Is that a thing? No, because what would happen, Jonathan B., is that the judge would ask the attorneys to say, okay, can we agree on what's meant by this and that? So that would be between the attorneys and the judge. Most judges don't rule based on things like bias. So if a case was coming up over Ford motor vehicles, for example, and the judge owned a bunch of stock in Ford motor vehicles, then the judge could say, I own stock in Ford motor vehicles and I am recusing myself out of this case because I want to make sure that there is no perception of impropriety or that I'm not ruling against, if you're ruling in a massive class action against Ford, you could hurt your own financial interest. So saying, I can't hear this. But when it comes to a lack of knowledge about a topic, it is the lawyer's job to educate the judge about it. And those things can happen together. So Anna, what happened? Oh my God, this is my first live. I'm laughing hysterically. Is it always like this? Chat, you can let Anna know if it's always like this. I feel like all the lives are different. It depends on the topics. And I also feel like we're a little snappier some days when we're not, like, you can tell my eyes don't lie on the level of tired. And they never will. You guys, this is the makeup that we get, but we don't the eyes don't lie when we're not feeling great. So let me make sure I get everything. And Rachel Rose, we love you, Emily. Please take good care and get well soon. We would stay here all day long with you. I know, Rachel, and I appreciate that. That's the problem. I love talking to you guys. Thank you, Diva Views. I think we are on wrap up number 1. I just want to make sure I get everybody's questions because I really do love talking to you guys. And this is just going to be a very interesting case. So K Fitz asks, thoughts on the latest news on federal courts live streaming public interest cases over the next 2 years. K Fitz, I haven't looked at all the parameters of it, but here's what I think. We have a lot of incoming heavy topics. There is a lot of inherent distrust in literally everything right now. And you can see it on social media. People are frustrated with quite a lot of different topics. I think with the election, there was a feeling of lack of transparency from some. With everything that happened this summer, with the multitude of police cases, there is feelings of hurt and anger and distrust. And I think bringing transparency into that is a good thing. I think allowing people to see the system work and how it works allows people to be educated in a way that they can say, oh, well, why is it that way? How can I make it change? I talk a little bit about the district attorney election in Los Angeles. And I will talk about it more. I'm still hoping there will be some changes to some of the policies that have been made because some of them contradict the law as it is. But I think having transparency there, saying, okay, this is the new policy and this is the law and this is where people are finding difficulty. Let's have a conversation about that. Because then people can, instead of saying, oh, well, what we want this to happen and it's not happening, the conversation can shift to, we want to see this thing happen. And the law says this. So the next step is, okay, well, we want to advocate for the law to be this. And that's where we have that's why I think transparency serves really well. I've said multiple times, what I want for our country is that everyone feels safe, heard, acknowledged, and we are not there right now. But I think transparency helps us get there. And if we don't have transparency, we are going to continue to have mistrust, distrust, and kind of these fundamental problems. I think bringing it into the light is a good thing. And I think bringing federal cases into the light is a good thing. I don't think everyone will understand what happens, but I hope that that's part of the function that I serve here is to say, we're seeing this and it means this, and then there's opportunity here, because transparency is always a good thing. And the public should be able to participate in our system so that they have an understanding to make actual effective change. That's something I always want to see. And I don't always agree with the changes that I see. And that's okay, because it's not just about my opinion or my perspective. I respect everyone's right to make the change that they see to better the world, even if we disagree on how that change gets made. Because most of the time, we don't disagree that change needs to happen. People disagree on how that change happens. And I think that's been lost a little bit on social media, is like, we're all trying to get to the same point where things are better. Sometimes we just disagree on how better happens. And that's where the conversations happen. Like, I see it this way. Okay, I see it this way. Okay, but we both want to get to this goal. So how can we have the conversation about this? And that's pre-litigation too. When I talked about clients sending cease and desist, that's a lot of what that conversation is. It's like, I'm here, you're here, we both want to get here so we don't spend all the money on litigation. How do we get there? Right now, there's a lot of distrust, and those conversations are hard. And that's hard. So I think more transparency is a very good thing. I really do. Okay, let me answer some more questions. Question, do you think she's trying to move jurisdiction to California because it will take longer thanks to COVID, or would that be a detriment? The thing with any case is that the defendant doesn't get to choose jurisdiction. The jurisdiction has to be relevant to the case, but the plaintiff gets to choose where to sue. So if for some reason, this is my legal chess mind, if for some reason the jurisdictional arguments failed in Washington, I think Tati would refile in Minnesota so that you don't get to LA and have the same arguments. Because here's the thing. There's no jurisdiction in Los Angeles from my perspective on the defamation case, because Tati has said we were living in Washington during this relevant time period, and the business is in Nevada. So there's no contacts to California and Los Angeles unless you argue maybe that because YouTube's there, that's the form. But I think that would be a stretch. So I think if it didn't go to Washington, it would go to Minnesota, which is why I think I'm going to pull, if you guys are interested, I'll put it up on the community tab. I think I'm going to look at what that might look like lawyer speculation on what that might look like if it moved to Minnesota, and if that's a good thing or not, like tactically, if I would do that or not, just because I'm interested now. Let me see. Question with YouTube terms of us, has Kay broken them? Jinx, some of the stuff I've seen, I've definitely had questions about, but it's at the end of the day, it's up for YouTube to decide if they're going to enforce it, regardless of my personal opinions on it. Steph asked, when is the court date? The judge changed the noting dates for the motion to dismiss. So the judge changed the noting dates. So it's not going to come up until January, because there is There is the motion to dismiss that got filed, and then there is the time frame for the answer, which I think is 21 days for the answer. Those are court days. And then there is a period of time to respond. So it's going to be January, probably end of January. And then the noting date will get reset. Under covering hypocrisy question, I created a Pacer account. For the life of me, can't figure out how to search. Any suggestions? Oh, any suggestions on Pacer? No, Pacer is tremendously confusing. I've posted the case numbers a lot. I would try to go by case number or party name and start there. Irish Badass, thank you for pointing that out. Good to see you. 3K viewers in the stream. Don't forget to like and thumbs up and do YouTubey things. I'm going to make sure to sweep the last of the questions. And then I'm on wrap up number 17. I'm going to say goodbye. I forgot to tell you guys what was coming up this week. So I'm going to tell you what's coming up this week. Let me see. Make sure there aren't any more questions. And I don't see anything I haven't covered, really. Let me see. Always had a question. If KJ loses this case, can YouTube... Uh-oh. I lost the rest of it. Always. I'm going to wait and see if I see it. It's like it probably got timed out also because we're on slow mode, because when we get 3,000 people in the chat, it goes fast. But if she loses this case, I'm gonna go with, can YouTube take down her channel? Yes. Can YouTube take action against this? Yes. Because often in defamation, YouTube says that they wait until there's court reading. So Charles asked question. Okay, not really. I just wanted to say I feel I leave smarter after each of your lives. I love hearing your perspective on these cases. Well, Charles, thank you so much. I'll always take compliments veiled as questions for sure. There we go. Always take down her channel. Yes, I think YouTube can for sure. Because it would be, if it was determined that it was defamatory statements, it could be, it could be something that Tati's team would ask for. There's a lot that would go into that, but it also could be something the judge orders as part of the case, saying, no, I'm deplatforming you based on this. It's really going to depend how this comes down. So anyway, Marissa asked a good question. Are KJ's employees likely to be brought in and named? KJ stated in her signed declaration that she doesn't have any employees. So if she does have employees, that's going to be a problem, because she stated she doesn't have any on her signed declaration. And I imagine that will come up. If she does have employees, that will come up maybe in the response, if it's known that she has employees, because her signed declaration says she doesn't have any. So, okay. What's coming up this week? We are getting into the holidays. So it is going to be like, my kids are going to be out of school. So we're going to do the live streams, but we might have a little bit of a slower start. So tomorrow there will be a new episode of the Get Legit Launch It podcast out, which is getting renamed in the new year for season 3. I'm very excited for season 3 of the Get Legit Launch It podcast under a little bit of a new name, same format, little bit of a shift. I'm very excited about it. So new episode tomorrow on all of the other stuff with Tom and Erica Girardi, and more of a deep dive. Then on Friday, we have Friday Night Live, where we will talk about other stuff. I'm going to try to get one more recorded video out this week. I don't know if it will happen because I do not feel good. If I start feeling better, I will have one more recorded video out, because the topics that I'm looking at right now are the FKA Twigs Shia LaBeouf situation I've been asked about. I want to look at the Kelly Clarkson situation, and I still am behind on the Tasha K, Cardi B defamation stuff. So those are kind of the 3 things that are in the hopper on the top of my mind. And then next week, I'm going to have a podcast episode on the 23rd with an after party. And then I'm not going to have any videos over Christmas Eve. We're not going to have a Friday Night Live on Christmas, but I might add a live stream into the following week. So I will keep you guys posted on the socials. I will keep you posted here. If you're in the text community in North America, then you will absolutely get that information. If you are a member, there will be updates on the members only kind of community tabs to talk about that stuff. We do have a members only live stream coming up the first Thursday of January, and I want to add some other stuff in to celebrate with members. So I might pop in another bonus members only live stream just so we have a chance to connect over the holidays, even if we don't do a big live stream with everybody, just because the holidays are so weird this year. And absolutely what the point of membership is really is that we get to have conversations where it's not 5 and 6,000 of us, though I love those conversations. So if you are new members, be sure to check out the members only posts in the community tab because those all have information for you guys. Make sure that you do the YouTube things, like, thumbs up, share if you want to. And I will be off and on a social this week, but often when I turn up, I turn up on Instagram first because I've got to be honest, it's my favorite. I don't always understand Twitter, but I still try to show up, but I try. I try with Twitter. Oh, and we have a delivery here from Best Buy. So it is perfect timing. I am 15 minutes past when I said I would go. I appreciate you guys for being here. I love the conversation I see you guys having. We are just going to keep doing what we're doing. Lori P asked a great question. The quarterly Zoom. Oh, Sarah, I'll go look for your